Now hi and welcome back to the channel. Now in this video I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm actually going to look at a combination of mini hi-fi equipment that might be suitable for you. Now we've got here the Fosi Audio V3 Amplifier and we've also got the fairly recent Q6 DAC. Now, whether or not this is a little system that you might like to put together yourselves, I'm hoping this video will help you decide. And for what you get for under £200, that's here in the UK, I think you'd be quite surprised. Now please do obviously check out links below for the Fosi Audio website for obviously the costings obviously in your country, because I would imagine if you're in the US, these prices are quite considerably higher at the moment. Now, as Fosi audio amplifiers go, the V3 is quite compact. No, it's not as compact as the BT20A Bluetooth amp, but it is considerably smaller than the ZA3. Now, the V3 is specifically designed as a desktop amplifier, hence no remote, because you'll be able to reach it. It's always going to be within arm's length. However, as we're going to find out later, team this up with the equal size, equal looking Q6 DAC, then you will have a really good quality mini separates audio system on your hands. Now, construction of the V3 is pretty good in my opinion. It's very simple. On the front you do have just an on-off switch, which is also your volume knob, and on the rear you have your RCA connectors and your speaker inputs. Now, the inside of the unit is equally well made. Now, it has some good quality components integrated, such as German Weimer output capacitors and a range of Japanese capacitors and inductors. You also have a pair of swappable op amps, which will allow you, if you wanted to change for additional amps to change the musicality or the sound profile of the amplifier. Underneath the unit and a substantial aluminium heatsink is your TPA3255 chipset. Now, power is provided by the TPA3255 chip. Now, with the potential of a larger power pack than came with it, a 48 volt 10 amp, you could probably look at achieving somewhere up to the maximum output of 300 watts per channel at 4 ohms. However, the standard one that came with this was a 48.5, and the one, if you want to keep it under £100 in the UK, you're probably looking at the 32 volt 5 amp, which is probably going to give you in the region of 60 to 70 watts output at 4 ohms, which personally for a desktop is going to be absolutely more than adequate. Now, I'm guessing there's a couple ways we can test whether the Fosi V3's components do what they are supposed to. Now, the first of these is to actually have them tested on a bench. And I don't mean a bench, I actually mean all the measurements taken. And unfortunately, I don't have the technology here to do this. So what I would suggest is head over to audiosciencereview.com, where they do. Now, the guys at audiosciencereview.com have run a series of tests on the V3, and it is quite impressive. It comes up in the very good category. Now, that's not quite as good as the ZA3 or the V3 Mono. However, for the price that you are going to be paying for this V3, it's certainly very good. Now, the other way, which most of us are going to use, is actually listening to the product. And I have spent quite a few hours listening, and I've discovered that it really does produce a very neutral sound across the whole spectrum. There's no sort of bias towards the bass or obviously the highs or the mids, which I actually quite like. Now, for the purposes of my testing, I've connected an ARYLIC S10 Plus music streamer directly to the V3. Now, I've been streaming through Spotify, so probably not the highest quality of music, however, perfectly adequate to do the testing I have done. So even with the very basic DAC that is in the S10 Plus, when it's connected to the V3 handles the complete tonal range really well. It doesn't overheat, it controls the power really well. So would I recommend it? Well, I'm going to have to tell you, I'm going to leave this till the end of the video when I've reviewed the Q6 and then looked at both of these items connected together. Now here we have the recently released Fosi Audio Q6 DAC. Now it's a fairly simple unit. It's the same footprint as the V3 on the front. You have a simple on-off switch and you have a single knob which allows you to switch between USB, optical and coaxial. Now on the rear you have your optical and coaxial inputs, your RCA and subwoofer output, which will allow you to connect it to an active subwoofer. Now, this is not a preamplifier, so you do not get a volume control. You also do not get a remote control. Now, build quality, the Q6 is on a par with the V3. It is very well made again for its size. An aluminium one-piece case, front and rear. And the inside of the unit is really well put together as well, really well finished with your USB interface chip, your DAC chip, which in this case is the AK4493SEQ, and an NE5532DR amp chip, which I am assuming can be swapped for something different if you should wish. Now, I have said that the Q6 is not technically a preamplifier. However, this isn't totally the truth. You do have an op-amp in it, which does considerably increase the decibels when connected to an amplifier. This becomes quite evident when you've gone from streaming from your music streamer through directly a amp, such as the V3, and then you connect your streamer to the Q6 DAC, and that subsequently to your amplifier. Now, for the purposes of testing the Q6, as discussed at the start of this video, I'm actually pairing it with the Fosi Audio V3 Amplifier. I'm also teaming this with the small ARYLIC S10 Plus music streamer, and that's a Wi-Fi streamer simply because these items don't have Bluetooth. So what were my thoughts on the Q6 DAC? Well, I will say over the inbuilt DAC of the S10 Plus, it is a huge improvement. Not only the volume, but the sound quality. You really can notice the difference. Now, you certainly don't need it. However, I think if you wanted to set yourself up a small desktop setup, then the Q6 fits perfectly with the V3 and will certainly improve your music experience. Now, connectivity is personally only okay. You have your optical and you'll have your coaxial. You don't have Bluetooth, you don't have HDMI ARC as you do with something larger, say such as the ZD3. But what you have got to take into consideration is that this is retailing currently in the UK round about £90. So the DAC itself is, for the sake of that money, a pretty good investment if you are looking to improve the quality of the music that you're streaming at a reasonable cost. Now, build quality is, as I have said, pretty good too. And when teamed together, the V3 and the Q6 are very aesthetically pleasing. So the Fosi Audio Q6 Mini DAC. It features a well-spec'd chipset. It sets out to produce exceptional sound. In my opinion, it certainly goes a long way to doing that, producing really clear sound processing. It's got pretty good connectivity. You can connect your TV, you can connect your music streamer, you can connect your laptop and others. And output wise, you can connect it to a subwoofer and also an amplifier of your choice. And that, I guess, would include a headphone amplifier. And to boot, it's really well made as well. Now, would I recommend the V3 amplifier? Yes, if you were looking for a small desktop situation, then I would certainly say it's something worth considering. Would I recommend the Q6? Well, teamed with the V3, most certainly yes, again, if you're looking for a small desktop setup. However, if you've got an additional, I don't know, £140 to spare, Personally, would you stretch yourselves if you weren't so pushed on space? I think maybe the ZA3 and ZD3 from Fosi Audio, again, the links are in the description below, might be a better bet if you want better connectivity. Now I've got to say thank you very much for taking your time watching this video, and I hope it's given you a little clarity into whether the Fosi Audio V3 and Q6 will actually make a good mini DAC amp combination for you. Now I have listed everything I've discussed in the description below, so please do go and check those links out. And also please remember to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you'll be kept up to date with any future builds and reviews.